put a label on it, even if it doesn't change the circumstance. Because there's so much about this moment that is trying to make people feel like they've lost their mind. When in fact, these motherfuckers are crazy.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. And I appreciate everyone that is joining me for my political discourse. It's been quite a while since I have done one. Thank you, everyone. I had to make sure I didn't have anything like Bravo or Housewives up, because the only scene I want us to remember and look at is this. And I'm in my Roland Martin unfiltered shirt, who of course is on YouTube. He has built a wonderful platform where he gives so much information. I just love what Roland has done. I hate covering up this picture. That is a little bit better, so we'll do that for a while. So thank all of you so much for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. Happy to see you. I hope everything is going well for everyone. Yesterday, we had Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday. So luckily I was able to rest yesterday and just have a pretty good holiday. I hope everyone did the same as well, whether or not you rested, you volunteered, you did whatever it was that you wanted to do on that day. You really deserve that. So we just had a few topics we want to cover for political discourse this morning. And we were starting, excuse me, I was looking at threads this morning, and there is a lot going on as far as ICE, not just what happened in Minneapolis. There is a standby for troops, whether or not they're going to be called into Minneapolis. They're storming churches. They're doing all kind of stuff. We know Don Lemon is in the news because he was covering a story. He wasn't leading anything or in charge of anything, but he brings his camera. Now that he's unleashed, as well as Joy Reid, they're boots on the ground. So he went in to a church, and there were people protesting. Someone that is, I'm not sure if it was the head preacher or one of the ministers, but he is actually a part of ICE. And as we know, that they have been very heavy-handed in rounding up people. There were a lot of people that voted to do exactly this, in my opinion, even though they're claiming that's not the case. They're crying about it. They're trying to walk and protest about it. But a lot of people signed up exactly for that. And that's what they're doing. They're doing that, what they said they were going to do. And even worse, they're going to people's appointments, people who have legal paperwork and are going in to make sure everything is in order. They're scooping those people up. They've been in schools, churches, stores that people frequent. Target is a store that's allowed them in. Luckily, we are not in Target right now. Home Depot is another one, and it's just been a mess. So this is really sad. So that is something that is going on as far as political discourse. Welcome in. Thank you so much. If you're joining me this morning, click the like button. If you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate that. And Christy Nome, she is director right now of the DHS director, and she's basically saying that there's no end in sight for Minneapolis and Minnesota. What they're doing there, a lot of people, myself included, believe that because Governor Tim Walz was on the ticket with Kamala Harris, that it is retaliation, that they are targeting that state and that city. And they're even possibly using it as a testing ground, which we all knew that that was coming at some point. So that is really terrible what's going on there. It's really sad. I couldn't imagine if Dr. Martin Luther King were alive today, what he would be saying, but I think he was prophetic. He actually saw a lot of the things that are coming to pass now, and he had a lot to say about it. And if people read about who he was and listen to his speeches, then they will know that he always foresaw something like this happening, and especially would always call them the white liberal. And they are doing exactly what he knew they would do. Be passive, sit down, wait for other people to fight for them. But let's not ever forget that they know how to march. They know how to fight. They were doing it against school integration and things like that. So people looking for myself and the ladies like these above me, they're sitting here watching, the 92% that tried to warn everyone, that did everything in our power to get people to see things the way that they would be. And they thought, oh, he was here one time. Speaking of the orange clown, it's not going to be that bad. We lived through it once. We all knew that it would be worse because a lot of the things they were doing was in Project 2025. A lot of it was a testing ground for before. And then the thing about this second administration, a lot of the brakes have been taken off. There are people there now that are just sycophants. They will do anything this person asks them to do. And I don't really think he's in power now. The last time I saw him falling asleep in a meeting, he looked toward end stages of something. There's a lot of nurses that have come out and said different things about them. So I was actually in Threads. I follow Bernice King over there, and she had a statement. She was sharing photos of her father, and I'll just read what she says. Let me pull this up. I wish I had it where I could share, but I didn't save it to my MacBook. So I'll show you first. If you follow Bernice King in Threads, that's his youngest daughter. One of his only surviving daughter, I believe, Bernice King. And then Martin Luther King III is his only surviving son. Because I know we lost Yolanda years ago from breast cancer. Also Dexter King, the youngest, he passed away. So rest in peace to all of the children that preceded him. So this is Bernice King's statement that she had yesterday on her Threads. My father didn't live, lead with courage, and die by state-sanctioned assassination long ago and far away. This MLK Day, I'm sharing these MLK in color photos of Daddy. Please share your thoughts. Are there any you've never seen before? Any that are particularly powerful or moving to you? And then she has a pound MLK Day 2026, and then pound Coretta Scott King. Of course, her beautiful mother who never remarried. She raised her children, and we had her until I think she was in her 70s, and then she passed away. I think I've seen a lot of these photos, but let me see if there is one. I've seen this one before too. This is him and with his wife, of course, Coretta Scott King. I'm sorry, I think there's something reflecting in the background. What I'll do, I'll put a link on where if you don't already follow Bernice King, you can look at what she posted yesterday in honor of her father. I think it's amazing that she knew him as Daddy. She was the youngest one. We remember her. There's a famous photo of her sitting on her mother's lap. And Coretta Scott King, I don't know how she got through the funeral. She just looked like she was someplace else. But she's sitting on her mom's lap, looking so sad. And she was a little toddler, maybe 4 years old or so. So we're still going through the same thing now as we had been before. Of course, yesterday people were sharing a lot of Martin Luther King Jr. speeches, reminders, and the fact that he has been gone so long and we still have not learned the lesson of what could have happened and has happened is just mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me. I know I start my page, I have Kamala Harris on there. So she had a post yesterday as well. Of course, she has a famous picture of where he's waving for the March on Washington. Look at all the people in the background. They said there were 250,000, but I've heard many different numbers. They feel like it was 1 million. I'm not sure how Parks and Services counts the number, but that is what he did for the March on Washington. And then she has a picture of herself where she actually went to the balcony of the Lorraine Motel where he was assassinated. And I find it interesting. Later in his life, his family didn't believe that James Earl Ray was the person that assassinated him. A lot of those files are supposed to be made public. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. But just there's, for me, the correlation of ICE running through the streets and scooping up people, and then a man like Martin Luther King Jr. having his holiday. I actually didn't think they were going to have the holiday because we know the Orange Clown and that administration does not want anything to honor anyone like Martin Luther King Jr. They would like to have all that in the past and just have it be a faraway history. But of course, it's not. This man has children that still walk this earth and still actually remember him in the flesh. Also friends. He would have been 97. So, you know, if he hadn't been taken away from us, it's possible that he could still be here. But I just think of him rolling over in his grave based on what's going on now. I just wanted to share that. I should have come on yesterday with that. I had a couple other videos that I did, and I didn't really have this one top and center, but that was still in my threads. I wanted to share that. So I hope everyone was able to rest yesterday. And let me just change this so you can look at this beautiful artwork that was done. And the artist has actually said that he painted that for Black women, for the 92%. The day after the election, he shared that. And then I found out that people were trying to profit from his work that they didn't even do this artwork for. So I'm going to put that so you can see the whole thing. I love that. That is one of my favorite works from around the election time. I might try to get one if he's selling it, not from someone else, because I know people took his work, which he gave freely, and then they have it on t-shirts and everything else. But if he is monetized on it, I'd like to get one directly from him. But this is 2026. A lot of things that are going on now. It doesn't look like we are 2026. I just wanted to do a short Sandra P's political discourse, mainly I was reading news on ICE this morning, and that was kind of a little bit depressing. But in 2026, if I get into that space, I'm going to make sure that I think of something positive. Luckily, Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday was yesterday. To me, that's extremely positive, other than what I think he would think now of what's going on. So this is a short political discourse. Everyone that was able to join me during the live, I appreciate you so much. Those of you that will catch this team replay, this is just like a little short 10-minute reminder just to go in on threads. If you put in MLK or you type Martin Luther King Jr. or you follow Bernice King, you're going to be able to see a lot of posts that people put in. One of my favorite speeches is the night before he was assassinated, where he had gone down to support the garbage, the men that were trying to be unionized and were driving the garbage trucks, and they were basically boycotting from trash collection because they weren't making money. A few of them had just been killed. It was a very dangerous job. And he went down there to support them. He gave his final speech the night before, that he had been to the mountaintop and he may no longer get there with you. And then he ends it with, my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And you see him get kind of overcome, and his right-hand man and everyone had to like take him in hands and lead him off the stage. That is my favorite speech of his. I'm going to link that because that is on YouTube in its entirety. And he talks a lot during that time about he feared he had integrated his people into a burning house. They share the sanitized post of Martin Luther King Jr., but in his later years, and he was in his 30s, y'all, he did not reach 40. So 39-year-old, in his later years, he really could see what things were and the people that he was working with and supposedly working with him. But as we can see what's going on now, there's a lot of people that will do just enough, but they don't really want to get out there and get dirty and be at risk. So I'm sitting here just watching, like my sister's right up here, the 92%. All we can do is warn, and then after that, all we could do is protect ourselves. So I will put the link in there for Bernice King's threads, and then also my favorite speech, the last one that Martin Luther King Jr. gave. Again, I hope everyone enjoyed their holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, which was yesterday. If you rested, if you volunteered, whatever you did, and just take the rest of this week and continue to rest, plan your budget, plant a garden, do whatever you want to do that's going to be kind of calming to your mind and not be out here in a lot of this other stuff that's going on. And I appreciate everyone that joins me. I appreciate all of my new subscribers. Sandra P's Political Discourse is something that I don't do as often, but I will be doing more of them in various topics. So thank you for joining me, and I appreciate all of my subscribers. And I will see all of you in the YouTube streets. Bye, everybody.
I don't think that he's good for you. How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion! Don't you get it? Why can't anybody have an opinion but you? That I don't think that he's good. That I